Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Shawn, so much for agreeing to share with us your tips and wisdom. I was very inspired first by your collection of books the first time I see you on video.
Well, thank you, Lucie. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And also, I was inspired by your energy and by your wisdom from what you shared from other meetings that we together went on. And so that's how I got the idea to invite you. And I'm very grateful. And you've shared with me that you have over 35 years of experience with meditation and martial arts, and also how to apply all that philosophy into creating bigger and better businesses. And now I'll give you the word to you to introduce yourself, say a little bit more, and let's get started.
Great. Thank you so much, Lucie. I really appreciate you inviting me on to your show. And, one thing I want to say is just you really impressed me with not only your business acumen, but also you take a very heart-centered approach, which I think is something that's desperately needed in this world today. And I think most people can agree on that. So, I'm just happy to be here to talk about some things. And I know your clients and my clients, we probably had a lot of the same questions, which is, right, like it's chaos out there, right? I mean, why don't you type in the chat C for chaos if you agree with that?
Yes, is it a chaos?
Yeah. So what it is the thing is, this is a different type of chaos. It's not like the market crash in 2008 or something like that, where we had kind of an economic problem. What we have now is something that's more of like an I can't even say it, existential threat. It's just like, it's something that really threatens our well-being. So it's not only this economic crisis, but it's health. And in business, so often, like as entrepreneurs and things like that, we're so focused on the bottom line. And we forget that, without health, the money doesn't matter. Without health, there can be no impact. Without health, we don't really have anything else.
Yep.
So, that's one of the things that it's brought front and center. So you see people out in masks, whereas like I remember when I went to China for the first time, many, many years ago, I would see people wearing these surgical masks. And it's like, why are they wearing surgical masks? They're like, well, they have a cold. They don't want to give it to anyone else. I'm like, whoa, that never happens in the US.
Yes,
So what a change we've seen in just a few weeks. So, one of the things is people are experiencing so much stress. And sometimes what's helpful is to take a step back and say, it's a dark cloud, but what's the silver lining? And more importantly, what can we do to sort of help positively impact the situation? Because, I don't know anyone who really, if they stop and think about it, thinks it's a great idea just to go crazy, like and lose it and start doing all sorts of crazy random stuff, right? People will do it, but one of the things. So when we talk about developing a strategy for this type of situation, and this really could be generalized to anything in business or life, but we have kind of this 30,000-foot view. And then we have the actual actions on the ground. So we have the strategy and we have the tactics, and we have to put them together in something that makes sense. So we have our family, we have our friends, we have our clients, we have our peers, we have all sorts of people who rely on us in one way or another, and we rely on them too. But in a time like this, what the world really needs is leadership. And, so the question is, well, what's the best way to show leadership? I'm not a leader, I don't do this or do that. But one thing that people don't realize is that, I'm sure you realize this, Lucie, and maybe some of the people who have worked with you, is that just by your example, you are a leader.
Absolutely.
So, when maybe you, like I have a 14-year-old son, I'm a single parent. And so, when this started all going south, as we would say in the
Yeah.
South. We started going south because I grew up in the South. Um, when things start going south, the thing is, who do they look to for answers? Who do they look to for comfort? And if you're freaking out, what kind of model does that set? So when you're talking about a very tactical approach, it's what can you yourself do? So in the East, we have this concept that's called Ganyin, and that means that heaven and earth are a reflection of each other. And in the West, we say, as above, so below,
Yeah.
as inside, as outside. So I think it was Gandhi who said it the best. It's like, be the change that you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, when this started, of course, schools were out, and my son, like every other kid, was just so happy that like school was out. Oh, it's great. Don't have to go to school.
Yeah.
Well, after about 3 days of distance learning, he's like, oh man, it's kind of boring here. It'd be fun to play with my friends on the playground, right? So, and I heard, someone else who used to just complain about going to the grocery store was just like so thankful that she could go to the grocery store, and I think she scored a package of toilet paper, right? Like that's the holy grail for everyone. So it gives us this perspective. So if we understand this concept that we don't just reflect our world, but the world reflects us too. If we take that and we say, what does it mean? And so, for example, I have to work. Fortunately, I've been an entrepreneur for a while, so I have a home office. I'm accustomed to working from home.
Yes.
So did a lot of things change? Yes, they did, but a lot of things didn't. But now I have a 14-year-old at home that needs food, and I don't know why they want to eat, but they seem to like to eat. So
all these things.
all these things, right? So I took some of these basic tools that I'm sure you shared with your clients, like time blocking.
Yes.
I said, okay, son, okay, dad's got to do some work, and you know what? You have work to do. And then when you don't have work, because the school day is really, really short now, and I said, you're not just going to lay around and do anything, but we're going to figure out what are you going to do. So I taught him how to do time blocking.
Fantastic.
And so the thing is that's what I do. That helps me be successful. That helps him be successful. So you can show that you do it, you can share it, and then you can walk them step by step through the process. So in a sense, we're all coaches, and we can do that not only with ourselves, with our friends. And so if you're not doing time blocking, and there's a lot of people that don't, and I resisted it for years because it's not the most fun thing in the world to do, right? We're entrepreneurs, we're creative, we like to just go with the flow.
Yep.
Then we realize the day's gone, and we did watch some cute cat videos on YouTube, but we didn't get much else done.
Exactly.
So it can help us too. So that's kind of one example of taking a very practical administrative thing and using it. Mm-hmm. The other thing too is, establish boundaries. Because during the day, if you work from home, or say you had an office and now suddenly you're home, the structure of your employment, of your job, of what you do creates certain boundaries. Everybody gets used to them. And for the most part, things just seem to work.
Yes.
But now all of a sudden, the whole order has been turned upside down. That's why there's chaos, because there are no routines, right? I mean, if you sleep till noon, you sleep till noon, if you can't go to work. So, you have to establish the boundaries. So, one boundary is, talk to my son, if I am on a call, then you can't interrupt me, right? Unless you're bleeding or on fire, because if it's a crisis and we need to address it, that becomes more important. But, when they start to understand that and have an appreciation, because most of our kids have never seen us work, really. I mean, they might see us do a little something around the house or after hours, but if you work outside the house, they don't have a concept of what you do. They just they show up from school and you show up and, you do your normal routine. So that's a couple of things, but it all goes back to this concept of making a decision yourself to stand up and take the lead. And just the fact that you do that, people will follow. So you'll become the pillar, you know, in sort of this whole situation. And what that's going to do is make you stronger too. There's a Chinese concept. They talk about a tree. So a tree, when it's a sapling, you know, it's relatively weak, but the wind blows it, it bends back and forth. That action of bending forces the tree to grow stronger. It's kind of like, I guess, the tree's equivalent of us lifting weights.
Yes.
Well, because it's buffeted by these outside forces when it grows up, it's stronger versus, say, a tree that might be planted in a courtyard, not so strong because it's shielded from all of the elements. So this is really a time for personal growth. So in terms of specific things that you can do to grow personally, one is take this leadership role and take it seriously, because we are setting the standard for the next generation. Yes. The second thing is, you know, we talk about cultivating the mind, body, and spirit. But we say, what does that mean? And, you know, you may have done yoga or maybe meditation, or there are a lot of other arts that work on this sort of thing as well. So I come from a Chinese martial art, Qigong background. And so we do a lot of meditation. We do a lot of movement. And this is all good, but they say the highest level is cultivate the heart. And one of the things that you can do to cultivate the heart is be very conscious of what you bring in from the outside world. So let me give you one example, is how much time do you spend watching the news every day? I'm not saying, yeah, not anymore, right? Because it's like the same thing over and over again. It just gets worse. The count of people who have it higher and higher and higher, but there's really no new guidance. So if we watch that, and we're constantly training ourselves, because our minds just absorb all this stuff we see, we're constantly training ourselves with, you know, fear and uncertainty and chaos. And you know what? It's out there. We know it's out there, but we don't need to keep repeating that loop over and over and over again, because what do we do when we do the same thing over and over again that's not helping us? They call that insanity, right? I think Mark Twain said that. So, you know, I'm not saying don't listen to the news. You know, I go online briefly for about 5 minutes a day to check to make sure there's like no major announcement that I need to know with this. And then that's it, you know, because there are better things that I can do to cultivate myself, to help my business, to help my clients, to help my family be strong. So that's one. Okay, so the next is the meditation, and then the third one is movement. Yes. So now the movement part, you know, is hard in this sort of environment to show you any movement. I could wave my hands or something like that. But I mean, that might be fun, but it'd get old pretty quick. But what I do is I have a video that I can give you know, everyone on the call, anyone watching the replay, if they want, and we can make that available later. But that way, that'll give you a movement thing to do, and it's a simple movement that develops tremendous power. It works the muscles, it works the tendons. It can be very aerobic, and it can be done in a very a small space. You can do it indoors, or you know, go outside in the yard, but keep distance, right? But yeah, that's the whole thing. Everything's social distance. I think we were talking earlier, right? There's like the tape everywhere in the stores. Yep. Like, you cannot get this close. It's like, I don't know, but in Trader Joe's, there's like no room in those aisles. So it's just like, it's optimistic.
It's a new reality that we are going through now.
Yeah. So, but for the mind, for the energy, for the energy and the spirit, there's a very special meditation. It's a simple meditation, but it's a powerful meditation. It's actually a pretty high level meditation, and you you've probably seen some version of this before. It's
Mhm.
called a golden light meditation. And what you find is sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful.
Yeah.
So, if you'd like, I could lead us through
I would love it.
that right now. Would you like to do that?
Please do.
All right. So in the chat box, is that a yes? Do I have your permission to lead you through a guided meditation? Just type a Y in if you don't mind. I'm going to get a sip of water here.
Fantastic. Yay. We're getting yeses.
All right. That's right. So let's go. So here's what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to sit up. So sit forward. If you can, sit in the front third of your chair if you won't fall out, but sit up so that we don't want you leaning back like this. So this is not nap time. We can do that later. So we'll sit up and we're going to lift the crown of the head and relax the shoulders. Now for this meditation, you can take, for ladies, you take your right hand and you place it on your lower belly. We call that the lower dantian. And then you would cover with your left hand. Okay. Now for gentlemen, you're going to take your left hand, place it on the lower dantian, and cover with the right hand. Now we're going to look out in the distance because this is where our mind is. Our mind is always out running around thinking about this. So do I have enough toilet paper? Did I get enough rice? Did I get enough, whatever it is, dishwashing detergent, right? As I realized I didn't buy any dishwashing detergent today at the store, right? Because the dishes won't clean themselves. But anyway, so our mind is all the way out here. So what we want to do is bring that back. So just imagine that you're calling the mind back, bring it in through the third eye between the eyebrows. And as you slowly close your eyes, look down like you're shining a light down onto the lower dantian. And just rest your mind there. Now we're going to breathe deeply. Inhale full, let the belly expand. And then gently exhale, slowly, let the belly collapse. And we'll just do that 3 to 5 times. Breathe gentle, sit up straight, relax the shoulders. As we calm down the breathing, the mind begins to calm down and the body calms down. Now visualize all around you a shower of golden light streaming down from the heavens above. It's a brilliant, bright, golden light. As it falls over the body, it cleans the body and energizes it. The rays of the golden light from the universe penetrate deep into the body, clearing away all blockages, injuries, or problem areas. The golden light fills the mind, the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the liver, spleen, all the organs of the body, purifying them and strengthening them. Visualize it seeping into all the cells of the body. The bones, the tendons, whole body becomes brilliant gold. And you yourself begin to shine with a golden light. As you breathe deeply, more golden light comes in As you exhale, the golden light expands out, further and further out. The golden light begins to fill the room that you're in. Spreads out to the house, the apartment, the building, and all the people, your family's there. The golden light bathes them. And they get stronger and healthier and more peaceful. The golden light expands outward to your neighborhood, to your community, even to your city. As you breathe, the golden light gets stronger and more intense. You see other people in the golden light. Their faces are bright. They're smiling. You're smiling. The golden light expand out to the countryside, across the land, across the sea, till the golden light of the universe covers the whole planet. The planet itself gets brighter and brighter. All the people, all the creatures, all the beings, happier, healthier. So bright it expands out to the solar system, returning all the way back to the universe. Golden light fills the universe, and the universe fills you. Bask for a moment in the light. Feel the joy in your heart and peace in your mind, health in your body. Now imagine gathering up the whole universe, all the golden light, and bringing it back in, back down, concentrating, getting brighter and brighter, turning into a brilliant white energy ball like a sun, and shrinking down to your lower abdomen to be stored there in the dantian, the power center of the body. Rest your mind on the dantian, full of energy and light and joy. Stored there, so anytime you need that energy or that light or that joy, it's there. Now take your hands, put them together in front of you, and slowly rub them till they get very warm. And put the palms over the eyes. Breathe from the palm into the eyes, deep into the brain. Now you're going to wipe from the bottom of your chin upward to the eyebrows, and then out and down, up, out and down, using all the energy to smooth the face. We call this a Qigong facelift. Women 8 times, men 9, because we need a little extra help. All right. Now rub your hands together again. Place them on the belly, and we're going to circle 7, 9 times. One more time. And now just brush yourself off. Wake up. Yeah. Shake a little bit. Ah. All right.
I loved it.
I feel wonderful. How do you
Thank
feel?
you. I feel awesome.
Wow. You looked
Recharged.
wonderful before, but even more radiant now. Yes.
I think any practices like this help me center and a little bit recharge and reconnect with myself. Like, how do I feel right now?
Uh-huh.
And a little bit disconnect from the outside world. I actually had the outside world coming. There was a truck coming right by my window.
Yeah.
But it did remind me, just think also I muted myself. So you guys don't have the same experience.
That's right.
But I still was able to enjoy and visualize the light, and I feel recharged. How everybody else is feeling?
That's good. Yeah.
I see thumbs up from
Thumbs up.
Danny.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fantastic,
that's a
great.
great. Yeah.
Yes. I have a question. I know you
Sure.
said questions at the end, but can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
When would you recommend people to do this exercise, like to visualize or just take deep breaths? What time of the day or a particular situation? What would be the best time or situation where it's the most beneficial?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we could talk for an hour on that one question alone. But let's just let's just keep it very basic. Is anytime you feel stressed out, you feel like you need more energy, you're upset about something, take a moment. I mean, even just the first part of it, just the deep breathing is something you can practice like anytime. You don't have to, close your eyes and put your hands down. You just can relax the shoulders, stand up, sit up straight, or you could even be lying down, but just breathe deeply. Already that will make such a huge change, as I'm sure from I know you've done a lot of meditation too. So anybody is experienced with that. The thing is, it's like a lot of people know it, but we forget. And even I've done this 35 years. Sometimes just in the heat of the moment, you just forget. You have all these resources. Why don't you use them, right? So I would say that's the first thing. Now, the second is talking about more setting up kind of a routine, go back to what we were talking earlier.
Yes.
You be the example, is set up a routine. And so I like to do this in the morning, right when I wake up, or right before I go to bed. Now, if you're someone that this really energizes you, you might not want to do it right before you go to bed. You might want to do it, allow some time before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And which also, if you have trouble sleeping, usually it's anxiety. So it's one of two things: either you're on the screen, you have the phone too much late at night, playing on the phone, and these things give off blue light, and that makes our body thinks it's daylight. So you want to get off the screen an hour before you go to bed. Anyway, that's just kind of an aside, not directly related to your question. But so the answer is do it at least once a day. If you can do it twice a day, fine. And then anytime you have a moment or you need a little bit extra, you can do it. And it's a short meditation. You can even just do part of it. You can do the breathing part, or you could just do the first part where you bring the light in and store it in the dantian, if you don't have time to go through the whole sequence. So the main thing about this meditation, it's a very safe, doesn't have a whole lot of really complicated stuff that you have to do. So it's really safe to do. And, you can get really, really powerful benefits right away from doing it.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing it. I will try to implement it in the mornings. I do have my own routine in the morning, and to get myself focused for the day and just being present. And to start the day, it really helps me create the boundary, as you were saying, and time blocking.
That's right.
So, in order for me to be productive during the day and focused, I do have to have at least an hour for myself in the morning before I start anything else.
Yeah.
So this is kind of setting my own boundary and time blocking, and also this meditation. So I will actually try tomorrow in the morning.
That's great. And you bring up a really good point there, is that when you talk about, like you said, you really have to set your time aside for yourself so that you can be prepared for the day. And that's a thing that a lot of people miss, and I'm sure not your clients, because I'm sure you teach them that, right? But maybe there's just somebody who's watching this who doesn't have the benefit of training directly with you, and so this is really more directed towards them. It's that a lot of people, because you're a very heart-based person, and that's the type of people that I like to work with. So what I find is a lot of heart-based people, they give, and give. And then all of a sudden they're exhausted and they don't understand why. Well, it's that you have to fill yourself up before you can give something away. It's like that's why,
Absolutely.
Poor people aren't philanthropists, right? Because you have to have money to give it away. So likewise, you have to have energy to give it away. You have to take care of yourself before you can effectively take care of others. Now, I'm not talking about selfishness. I'm just talking about if you take a few minutes a day like you do and spend it, you meditate, you get clear. I don't know, maybe you do some affirmations and things like that. So you get yourself sorted out in the morning. How much more powerful and effective are you during the day? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but in the rare cases I get up and I'm don't do my morning routine, the day just never seems to go as well.
Yes, it's the same for me. Yep. And I'm more tired, less energized, and I get, I guess, thrown off easier. And after, some difficult cases, I get exhausted more after.
Yes.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Because, the emotional response, and I mean, there's brain science research to show this, like the emotional response happens before we think about it, because these are patterns that are hardwired in the brain. And then only at the last moment does the brain kind of register it. So the emotions they consume so much energy, which is why almost every cultivation tradition, to say you got to get rid of the emotions is not right. They're there for a purpose, but you have to learn how to make them your servant. So the Chinese have a saying is, you're the master and the emotions are the servant. I mean, well, actually, they would say something like that in Chinese, but let's talk in English. So you're the master, and the emotions are supposed to be like a servant. But what happens is that gets flipped, and then the emotions start to rule us, and then we become a slave to the emotions. And so one of the things and so they're actually kind of poetic about it. They say you have to turn the sword around, and the emotions are now the emotions are the servant. I mean,
yes.
And they are valuable. So I'll tell you a story. If we have, how are we doing on time?
I think we still have a few more minutes.
Okay, great. So it's my son again is he was talking about fear, like he was afraid and like he wanted to get rid of the emotion of fear. It's like, well, Dad, a technique to handle fear, and I'm like, well, I know a technique to handle fear, but not get rid of fear. I mean, so some people might try to do that, with suppression and things like that. That usually doesn't work out in the long run very well. But, because if you squash one emotion, something is going to replace it because it's there for a reason. It's a hardwired survival instinct. So fear is not the problem. The problem is our reaction to fear. So, I've done martial arts for a long time. My son, he decided he wanted to do martial arts. Now, when he was really young, I thought, oh, I'll teach him martial arts. Well, he didn't want to learn from me. And that's
That happens.
yeah, of course, that's just normal. But that's why the Chinese say you always send them to your brother to learn martial arts. And they mean Kung Fu brothers. So, I found a guy who's really good and started training with him. Fantastic choice. But then they started the sparring. And so the first time he sparred with the teacher, he got hit in the face. And yeah, and not very hard. And they're all padded up and stuff like that. But if you've ever been hit in the face, I hope no one has, unless you're a martial artist and it's okay. But otherwise, I hope no one has. But if you have, it's kind of a shock. Still remember the first time it happened to me. Yeah. But it's kind of a shock. But the thing is, what he did was he got back up, and he went back and did it again. And did it again. He did not get hit in the face every time. So he did learn that you're supposed to block. But afterwards, he came out, his head was hanging low, and I was watching. He was like, what's wrong? He's like, oh man, I don't know. I was just so scared when I fought Shifu. That's the Chinese term for teacher. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's okay. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm really proud of you. He's like, why? I was scared to death. I said, look, fear is normal. I said, but what did you do? I said, you were afraid, right? And I said, but you went back. You went back into the ring, didn't you? He's like, yes. Yeah. I said, that's called courage. I said, so it doesn't matter whether you're afraid. What it matters is what you do. Yeah. So that's how you build a legacy. So yes, you're afraid, but what do you do, right?
I love that.
So that's the key for anything, right? A lot of people are afraid to go to the grocery store. You might catch it. Well, you know what? Your kids need to eat. You need to eat. We have to take our chances. What do? We go to Trader Joe's and we keep as much distance as we can, right? So that's courage. So everybody can do it. And the key is you just have to decide, where the priority is. And so we come back to what we talked about at the very beginning. It's leadership, it's self-leadership. So we have so many examples, and I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. It doesn't matter what you believe or which side of the aisle you're on. But we can find so many examples in the world today of leaders who aren't stepping up, blaming somebody else, this, that, and the other. You know what? It could be there are a lot of people at fault. In fact, there probably are a lot of people at fault. But blaming people doesn't help. Yes. Let's take direct action. Now, we're not the president of the universe, at least, not yet, right? So, but what can we do? That's the thing. Yeah. What can you do? And actually, it's the small things that make a difference. Yeah. Take the decision in the face of fear and do something courageous. And that sets an example for your kids, for your family, for your friends, for your coworkers, for the rest of society. Yeah. And you have no idea what that ripple effect is. You affect one person. The virus is not the only thing that's contagious, right?
Yeah, the fear.
Fear is contagious, right? Panic. Yes. But on the other side, courage is contagious. Leadership is contagious.
I love it. Yes. Very good.
How's it start? So let's go infect some people with courage and leadership.
I love that.
Positivity and hope. That's the kind of infection. That's the kind of pandemic we need in the world right now.
I love it. Let's spread the hope and the courage virus.
yes, that's great.
And it could be applied not just in dealing with people, with our loved ones, with our family members, if people have children that are not used to, parents working from home. I've had clients that had that situation, and they said, on videos, children were just coming into the screen or screaming. Or it could be a situation just calming people down. One of my other clients, they had to let 15 people go last week.
Oh, wow.
Because they're in the industry that actually had to close, and their business depends on face-to-face contact.
Yes.
So that sparks also a lot of innovation for them. So encourage people to look at what can you do instead of what you cannot do right now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's beautiful, Lucie. That is beautiful. Yeah.
And also, so it could apply to our personal lives, calming people down in our personal lives, or even just when we go to the store and seeing how could we be leaders, just meeting a neighbor maybe. How could we share the courage and the hope instead of the other stuff, right? Instead of going down emotionally, how can we uplift each other? And it could be applied to business too, because if we are in our own emotional state better, then we could focus better. And then we can actually serve and help others. So by taking care of our own energy, creating morning routine, and maybe guys, you already have it, now you have a new addition if you haven't done the meditation before, creating a structure for yourself in the morning so you can set yourself up energetically and emotionally for the day. So no matter what comes, you can go to that ritual, whatever you create. Could be meditation, could be just taking 3 deep breaths. So then you can show up for yourself first as powerful and courageous person, and that then spread the virus of courage and self-leadership to others. Imagine everybody would be staying calm in the situation and collaborating and sharing resources instead of sharing fear.
That's right. And it makes me wonder what they say that people have like 500% more toilet paper than they need in the rest of the year or something like that. I don't know what they're going to do with it. It's, the coronavirus, not the rotavirus.
Yes.
But you're exactly right, is that, taking those small steps, and the other thing, and I mentioned it earlier, that I want to give your viewers is I want to give them a really powerful movement. And since we're on the subject of courage, it's really, I call it the ultimate power move. And no, it's not taking the last bit of coffee or coffee machine or taking the glass of champagne out of somebody's hands. Nothing like that.
The last toilet paper roll in the store.
The last paper roll in the store, yes, a grudge match. Yeah, we're not going to do that, but we're going to do, it's a fantastic move. It can be done just in a few feet of space, works the whole body, like I mentioned earlier. And so they can get that. Is it okay if I share the
Absolutely, please do.
Yeah, so it's tccii.com.
Would you want to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I'll type that in. It's tccii.com/show.
I actually do have the link here, so I can even put it right there.
Oh, you have it right there. There you go. Yeah, so it's tccii.com/show. It's right there in the chat, and for the people who are watching the replay, I'll say it slow, tccii.com/show. Ultimate Power Move, you can get that. It's a short video, even 5 minutes a day of this, you'll see a big difference. So if you did 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of this, 10 minutes plus a few affirmations, you'll be ready to rock and roll. And as Lucie said, spread the hope virus.
Yes.
The courage.
I just remembered something else when, about this movement meditation and another meditation, or just taking 3 deep breaths and finding our own way how we can reduce the stress. By reducing the stress, the cortisol level goes down, And
Yes.
if it's up, it actually reduces our immunity system. So we are getting
Hmm.
not only just emotionally stronger through these practices, but also physically stronger, because our immunity has a better chance of getting stronger with our cortisol stress level lower in our bodies.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And, it does kind of surprise me. It's well researched, it's a well known medical fact.
Yeah.
And, but that's not included in the information that they hand out, that they,
Mm.
they put out. It's just like keep distance, wash your hands, don't touch your face.
Yeah.
But there's so much more that we can
If-
do. And I'm
Yes.
glad you brought that up, because it is really so important. Because you've seen before, you're on a plane, you get off the plane, some people got a cold from being on the plane, some people didn't. What's the difference?
Yes.
The difference is the immune system. You're
Yep.
all exposed. It's the same here, which reminds me back to our earlier point about going to bed early, not using the cell
Yes.
phone, is get in bed by 10, by 11 at the latest. I know that's hard to do. I mean, we all, there's so much to do. There's never enough time, but your body will thank you. You're better off to go to bed by 11 and get up by 5 than you are going to bed at 1 and getting up at 10, because and this is into Chinese medicine and circadian rhythm, but
Yes.
those
Yeah.
hours from 11 to 1 to 3, and really 11 to 3 are the critical time for the detoxification of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very important point. Like when we sleep, our bodies need sleep. Even our brain needs sleep. I know if I don't get at least 7 hours of sleep, I I cannot function very well. I mean, I can still function, but I'm super tired, and by 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. I'm done.
You're done. Yeah.
If I have like 5 hours of sleep, by 4 p.m. I just want to take a nap. So and I hear it from a lot of clients also, that they go back, those that have challenges, that they see how important the sleep is. Everyone
Yes.
actually I talk to is saying, I need to get sleep. Yet in our culture, it's almost as praised, work as hard as you want or can, or praising, oh, I just slept, I worked so much, I slept only 5 hours. That shouldn't be praised, that should be discouraged.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So we have an opportunity here to maybe show some leadership and turn some things around, and maybe we'll start a positive wave. Pandemic.
Yes.
Good sleep, good meditation, good attitude.
Yeah. Self-care and self-leadership.
That's right. I love it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Is there anything? I'm sorry, I started asking more questions. I didn't want to interrupt your flow.
Oh,
Is
no,
there?
no, we're done. I'm happy. So if there are any other questions, I'm happy to take them. I know we're getting close on time, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that
Yeah, if you
you
guys
have.
have anything, you can also email me. We can always get back to you a little bit later on impromptu, maybe. I did have some questions, but they were more about the masks, as I mentioned, where to get masks, that I'll
Oh,
address with that person
yeah.
outside of our call.
That's a big question.
Yes, yeah. Um, but anything else? If we sum it up, basically create how to get through the stress and eliminate overwhelm, is to start the day with a structure for ourselves, structure to do whatever we need to feel better, whatever works for each of us. Then create the time blocking. So not only boundaries with ourselves, but boundaries with other people around us.
That's right. And a powerful tool is to share that if you have kids or a partner or clients or whoever. And I know you already do this, Lucie, but if you share this with other people and get them doing it, then it's twice the power.
Yes,
Because you're
absolutely.
working, they're working, you get so much done.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So share with our loved ones. If you watch the replay, you could invite your children if you have children, or your partner or your friends to the meditation and start talking about what do you do that helps you calm you down, because different
That's
people have
excellent.
different ways, and the more we share the resources, the better all of us are going to be, because we'll
That's
have
right.
access to different tools. We'll have a full toolbox of,
Exactly.
of spreading the virus of hope and courage.
Yeah,
Well,
that's an excellent summary. That's and then the other bonus point is just you know uh, get to bed early. Protect the
yes.
immune system,
Yeah,
and you made a great point about that. So, yeah, we covered a lot in this short time. I'm really
we
impressed. It's
did.
a great group. I appreciate everyone taking their time, investing the time in themselves,
Yes.
asking the questions and participating. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Stay safe,
Yes.
stay healthy. Again, Shawn, thank you so much for sharing all your tips and expertise and beautiful meditation, and even the movement meditation. How would you call it?
It's a special. It's a qigong move. Actually, I give you a little bit of a hint. It's a very courageous, powerful animal. It's a tiger. So
Yay.
it's a lot of fun to do, actually. And actually, this is something your kids might even like to do. Yeah.
Fantastic. So
All
another
right.
tool, wonderful tool that I'm excited to actually show my boyfriend.
Awesome.
Maybe we
Awesome.
can
Let
do
me
it
know.
together. Will do. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll keep you posted about other events that we're going to host. Thank you,
Thank you, Lucie.
everybody.
Many blessings.
Many blessings. Bye.